Alrighty, good morning everybody. So quick recap of the changes I've made to the list. I did move Kozilek, Butcher of Truth to the sideboard. I ended up dropping a Spatial Contortion out of the sideboard to make that work. I cut the 2 Ugins the Ineffable and a Relic of Progenitus for 3 Mazemind Tome. And I cut a Walking Ballista for another Ugin the Spirit Dragon. And other than that, oh, shoot, that's not what I was going to do. I remember now. Do I have any Oath of Nissa? I'm going to add Oath of Nissa. I do. Actually, don't want Relic in this deck. And I'm only going to try out 2 Mazemind Tome. I was like, that's a lot of 2-drops for a deck that 2 mana is really awkward for. So we're going to try 2 Oath of Nissa. And, oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's all coming back to me. I remember now. I need one of these. And, okay. So I dropped the Ugin for 19th land, and we're going to try it like this. This is a significant difference. So this league should play very differently. Oh, I have the qualifier points for the mock showcase, or modern showcase. That looks like it might be fun. Just noticed. Alright. Apologies if this video is not out on time. I did not get to record yesterday at all. I had a very busy day. And then I had to go lift weights. And I was too tired by the time I got home. I was like, well, I better get up early, and try and get some recording done, but it's not done on time. My apologies. Alright, obviously we do want to play first. Well, this hand's awkward. Go ahead and mulligan. Close. Very close. I'm gonna go to 5. Okay. Well, out of all of the hands of 5 we could keep, I think this one's probably the best. I am gonna keep a forest over a star. I mean, it's important that we have at least 2 land. So start power plant sphere. Pass the turn. This is not a particularly good hand, but it's one that might be serviceable. Okay, opponent plays a Bloodstained Mire, cracks it, and gets a Blood Crypt untapped. So it looks like they're Luris, Burn, / Blitz. The black-red Blitz deck, anyway. Okay, we untap. Okay, look at the top card of our deck to see what we draw. It's another power plant. We draw a card. Ancient Stirrings. Guess we gotta take Map. This was a pretty awkward Stirrings. Could take Sphere. Yeah, I'll take Map. Play Forest. Play Oath of Nissa. Alright, another non-Tron land. Pass the turn. It's only getting slightly awkward. The green mana requirement there did kind of suck. But also, if this was an Ugin, we would be hurting even more, I think. Alright, it looks like we're just dead, because my opponent has all of the free spells to dump into their Monastery Swiftspear. We go to 3. Well, I don't think we have anything we can play. We'll go ahead and get a mine, I guess. I guess we should probably take Blast Zone. No, we're gonna take mine. Blast Zone might keep us alive, but like the only way we're winning is if our opponent has absolutely nothing for 3 turns anyway. Alright, play mine. Play Karn. Wish with Karn. On a crack Scalding Tarn, tapped. Walking Ballista, I guess? Yeah. Pass the turn. If we top deck a tower, we might be able to win. That is no longer the case. Unless my opponent keeps drawing lands. Go ahead and wish. We'll get a Trinisphere. Play Walking Ballista X2. Play Nurturing Peatland. Pass the turn. We're going to have to sacrifice Nurturing Peatland just to get a draw. Because we're at such a low life total that it doesn't matter. I think we can't use it for mana. Opponent puts Luris into their hand. Plays a Polluted Delta. Well, that Luris is kind of a problem. I guess we should probably just try and ping down the Swift Spear. Alright. Cast an Ancient Stirrings. Power Plant, Mazemind Tome, Walking Ballista, and a map. Yeah, we'll go map. This is the longest I have ever been at 1 life total versus a deck with this many burn spells. So take a tower, play Trinisphere. This means my opponent can only cast 1 spell. I'm not going to animate Trinisphere, I don't think. Actually, I should have. I should have animated Trinisphere because even though my opponent could bolt it, well, if they had bolt, they would bolt us. But that saves us from a Monastery Swift Spear being cast. So that was actually a mistake. I should have animated Trinisphere there. 4 mana. Well, it didn't save us there. Oh, no, it would have. Yeah, that was dumb. Okay, my bad, everybody. I'm going to blame it on it's early and I've only had like 1/3 of a cup of coffee. So, Weather the Storm in. Spatial Contortion in. I could bring in Veil of Summer. I actually think Veil of Summer is probably going to be a little bit too awkward. I'm going to drop Oath of Nissa because I just brought in a bunch of stuff that it doesn't grab. Ancient Stirrings is too good, though. I'm going to cut 1 Ulamog. I probably should actually cut the other one, too, and bring an Oath of Nissa back in. Yeah, this is fine. Alright, we'll play first. Perfect. This is a turn 3 Tron. So something I want to mention. I mentioned this in one of my other videos. I think it was Infect, because I played against a Tron player that did this. If you're against a deck that plays Inquisition, Thoughtseize, that sort of thing, and you're on the draw, you should not necessarily keep a hand that is Tron piece, map. Especially if you have no backup. If you have like no spheres, no stars, no ancient stirrings, nothing. Because if you do that, you risk just losing to Thoughtseize. Because if they take map and you have no backup plan, like unless you mulled really low and you're forced to keep, you're gonna have a bad time. Alright. Opponent attacks for 2. We're gonna go tutor up tower. Yep. Blast Zone was actually super tempting there for a second, but I was like, wait, no, Tron. Hey, we got it anyway. So, play Wormcoil Engine. Pass the turn. I don't know if anybody has noticed my new mug. Probably can't see it very well, but it's a negative image of a skull. I really like skulls. It's so shiny, it's reflecting my green screen. Okay, opponent attacks for a lot. We'll block the Swift Spear. I guess I should probably block the other 2 because... Oh man, okay. Wow, we gain no life that way. Impressive. But we do get 2 tokens still. And we are going to absolutely ruin his day with this Blast Zone. He conceded the Blast Zone, that's nice. Yeah, we'll run it back. Weather the Storm is nice. Sylvan Scrying is nice. We do have a Thragtusk in this hand, and we're probably going to have to play this Forest. I could mulligan lower, but considering how often my opponent plays like 3 spells a turn, if we get off a Weather the Storm, we'll probably have enough time to get to Tron, because we're 2/3 the way there anyway. If this hand had a Sphere or a Star, I would feel a lot better about keeping this. I'm going to mulligan. It got worse. I'm going to mulligan again. Alright, well I guess I'm going to have to keep this. We'll put back Thragtusk. And I'm going to put back Karn. And we might just get absolutely wrecked by Thoughtseize here. If we get a second land, we have Sylvan Scrying. And if we don't get to Tron, we have Mazemind Tome, which might do something in the time allotted. We'll see. Yep. Oh man. Well, hey, I'm glad I didn't keep that other hand. Opponent just auto-picked Sylvan Scrying? That's not correct. That wasn't correct at all. You should have taken the star. Oh man, if we just, like, draw into, Tron, though, I'm gonna feel slightly bad about what I do to this opponent. Okay, Sanctum of Ugin. We are gonna crack for green. See what we draw. Okay. And then we'll play a Mazemind Tome. Go ahead and get in a Scry. Ancient Stirrings. I think we can do better. I am just going to scry on my next upheap. I could draw, but there's the chance that we hit the Tron piece, or like a map, or a sphere into a Sylvan scrying. Like, there's a lot of things that we could do, potentially with our mana, and getting 2 looks to get there seems pretty good. Wow. That seems kind of lackluster. My opponent puts Luris into their hand, so we're only going to take 2 this turn unless they have a bunch of mutagenic growths or something. It doesn't look like they do. Okay, so stop on our upkeep. Scry. Blast Zone. That might be worth keeping. I'm not going to, though, because we have nothing else we can cast this turn. Okay, Sphere's a redraw, so play Sphere. We drew an extra card. Play a Forest, because we might need the green mana next turn, and might not have a way to get it. On a Blaze Bloodstained Mire, cracks and shocks for Blood Crypt. Surgically extracts Sylvan Scrying. Okay. They're doing this on their main phase just to get the pump for their creatures rather than doing it on our draw step, which is generally more correct. But I understand with a deck that proactive, they probably just want the prowess triggers. Then they play a Luris and a Death Shadow. Alright, we have 2 looks to find something useful. So scry on our upkeep. Wormcoil to the bottom. Wow, we drew the tower. Mazemind Tome MVP. Here it was really good. If our opponent had a better hand, like their faster hand, it probably would have been horrible. But here it was pretty good. Opponent pays 3 life for Agadim the Undercrypt. Attacks with just Death Shadow. Well, we are going to trade. Back up to 20. Oh man. They recast Death Shadow from the grave. We're going to draw an extra card this time. So gain 4 life, which is great. Draw an extra card. It's an Ancient Stirrings. Suppose I should have seen what I drew for turn first, right? If I play Karn, I can get a 2 mana cost card. Let's Ancient Stirrings, because I could hit the 3rd Wormcoil. I could take Ulamog. We can block, and even Temur Battle Rage wouldn't kill us. I could also take Walking Ballista, and we could kill Luris. Ulamog doesn't do anything till next turn, but we could just play Karn this turn. Yeah, let's do that. We'll play Sanctum. Play Karn. Wish. We'll use his ability, and we're gonna get... I could actually just replay Mazemind Tome. Spyglass doesn't really do anything. There's nothing I can think of that's an activated ability of theirs that we have to worry about. We can either play Walking Ballista and have an additional blocker. Yeah, I actually think Walking Ballista is slightly better. If I didn't have another big threat to cast, I actually might take that Mazemind Tome out of the grave. But that Mazemind Tome gaining life helped put us out of reach, which is fantastic. I'm going to play a Sunbaked Canyon and a Kroxa. Alright, Kroxa making us discard the Forest. Okay, opponent draws a card. And scoops the match! Oh, man. Whew, well, Mazemind Tome showing there why it's a good card. I'm actually pretty impressed with that. Now, it's way, way, way horrible in the average, or in the best Tron case, right? The one where you play out all of your Tron lands, like turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, and you have a threat. Mazemind Tome takes no part in that, can't do anything with it, like... But if you don't, it seems to be a pretty good backup plan, because, like, it found us everything we needed to win that game, and without it, we would have lost. Our opponent mulligans to 6. This hand's not bad. We have a lot of redraws. We have maps. It's just a little bit slow. So I'm going to try for something faster. This probably counts. I mean, if we draw another Tron piece, my opponent mulligan to 5. I bet you they're Tron and we need to mulligan. Well, this hand is way worse, so we're going to 4. Alright, well, I guess I gotta put 3 cards back. You know what? Fine. Alright, I should have kept my hand of 6. But hindsight is 2020. Which, I hate that phrase, by the way. I can't believe I just used it. So my opponent is playing Dredge. We took out the main deck Relics, but I think in general we should have an okay matchup with Dredge because of our Ugins. The fact that I'm running the 8-mana ones. We draw Urza's Mind Tron, which is not Tron, it's just 3 Urza's Minds, but pass the turn. This is another hand where if we draw Mazemind Tome, it will help immensely. My opponent does mill a Dredger in the form of Golgari Thug, draining us for 3 with Creeping Chill. Thankfully, it was not a creature that reanimates to get back that Amalgam. They crack Bloodstained Mire. They shock Blood Crypt. And Cathartic Reunion, so big Dredge incoming. And they hit Silver Smoke Ghouls, and they hit 2 Creeping Chills, and they hit 2 Narcomoebas. Alright, well, don't know if we can win. Not with the hand we mulled to. Because I think we're probably losing too much life here to survive even a single swing. Yeah, they have Smiting Helix in this version. We literally can't beat that. Not without main deck Grave Hate, which this version unfortunately is not running. When we hit a tower, sack for green. Good to see you, Mazemind Tome. I'm glad you know when to show up. Like, versus this opponent, and with this hand, you were needed. Unfortunately, our opponent was just too fast. Okay. We can bring in Grafdigger's Cage, which we actually might need to, because wishing for it with Karn is going to be just straight up too slow. So bring that in, bring Spatial Contortion in, and I'm going to go down the Oath of Nisses. Veil of Summer probably doesn't do anything. Weather the Storm, I mean, might gain us some life, but I think just trying to assemble our actual combos are better. Us being on the play with hopefully a much better hand should help a lot. Yeah, we're going to mulligan. I am going to keep double egg Ancient Stirrings. We'll put back 1 Ulamog. This gets us 7 looks at finding another land. So, I mean, theoretically, that's enough. I'm going to place a Bloodstained Mire. We untap. We draw another sphere, so crack for green. Thrag Tusk, Ancient Stirrings. Come on, Tron Piece. Blast Zone, I guess, is the next best thing. Rest to the bottom. Play Blast Zone, play Sphere. We just dumped 2 Sylvan Scrying, so we're gonna be down a crap load of tutors. Okay, opponent cracks Bloodstained Mire and gets Blood Crypt. Tapped. They're not haggling. They play an Arid Mesa. They crack it for a Stomping Ground. And they hard cast a Life from Malome. So this is one of Dredge's slowest starts. Okay, we draw a Karn, Great Creator. So let's go ahead and crack for green to draw a card. Urza's Mine is pretty great. I'm going to play Chromatic Sphere and draw again. I'm going to play Chromatic Sphere, play Mine, and I'm going to draw again. Okay. I was not anticipating on drawing a Sylvan Scrying because we dumped half of them to the bottom of the deck. I'm going to defend my decision to do that and not save the sphere for next turn in case we drew an Ancient Stirrings or Sylvan Scrying. Hopefully that doesn't completely screw us, but we were basically to the point where we needed to either keep drawing eggs or draw Power Plant, which we could still top deck Power Plant, and that would be pretty awesome. So my opponent dredged Creeping Chill and nothing else, and then they picked up 2 land with that Life from the Loam. They discard a Silver Smoke Ghoul. We draw Ugin. Wow, okay, yeah. We're going to put a charge counter on the Blast Zone. And I'm probably, if I have nothing else to do, I'll just take it up to 3, because that'll at least take out their Silver Smoke Ghouls and Prized Amalgams for a turn. We might have the old Sack-a-Land Fog at some point in this game. If we draw Power Plant, though, and my opponent does get a big reanimate, we can play Ugin and wipe the board. And, like, wipe the board, where they can't get their creatures back. Any land gets us to Karn, Great Creator, which is nice. Opponent hard casts a Creeping Chill to get back a Silver Smote Ghoul. Yeah, my opponent's hand is, like, I don't know if they just, like, kept in a bunch of artifact destruction or what. Okay, Mazemind Tome. It's your chance to shine. Karn liberated. Love ya. Unfortunately, now is not the time. Opponent going to attack us for 3, down to 11. They do have Conflagrate for 7, which I am not thrilled about. Nature's Claim, they let us gain 4 life. That's fine. They did keep a handful of interaction with us, which is kind of funny considering we didn't have any interaction for them basically anywhere in the deck. It's almost like our opponent over-sideboarded. Like, we have a lot of cards that could potentially just completely screw them, like Grafdigger's Cage. If they don't answer it, they're boned. So I don't think my opponent made the wrong decision, but, like, if they had a fast hand this game, we would have just been obliterated. Alright, opponent loams again. We untap. We draw Wormcoil Engine. Pass the turn. I still think cracking that sphere on that turn was correct. I do not think saving it to draw Sylvan Scrying was going to work. You could make the argument that, oh yeah, we have Ancient Stirrings, you probably should have waited. Maybe. But not saving it for Sylvan Scrying. Opponent plays a City of Brass. They're just dumping their hand to Conflagrate? They are. They dumped their entire hand. It was all lands? Oh man, okay. Yeah, we're definitely ticking up Blast Zone to 3 then. Usually they only run 1 Conflagrate. Alright, well we drew a Forest. So we have 2 options. We can either Sylvan Scrying or Karn Great Creator. I think we Karn Great Creator. Because next turn we can use Blast Zone Forest to Sylvan Scrying, and then we can, like, land Wormcoil. So play Karn. This means if they top deck a Shriekhorn, it's really bad. If they top deck a Cathartic Reunion, it's really bad. It might encourage them to swing at Karn rather than at us. Walking Ballista is useful early. Probably just want Liquid Metal Coating. I think that's actually the most intimidating thing. So absolute best draw would be Power Plant. Power Plant gets us up to 9 mana. Opponent mills a Narcomoeba by dredging. Oh, that's right, they dredge. They don't need to be top decking. Opponent attacks us. Okay. This does mean a Creeping Chill is lethal. They've already seen 2 of them, though, but they're only about halfway through their deck. Opponent sacks Silver Smote Ghoul to draw a card, dredging Thoughtseize, Shriekhorn, and Ancient Grudge. I think that was kind of risky. We draw a Star. Star is actually fantastic, because Star lets us resolve Thragtusk. We have Mine Tower, we need Power Plant. Play Power Plant. Play Star. And Thragtusk gets us out of lethal range. Crack for green. Draw a card. Play Thragtusk. Gain life to get out of lethal range. Uptick Karn. Alright, pass the turn. It also prevents them from doing Ancient Grudge shenanigans on something like Wormcoil Engine, where if, like, we needed to block, or, like, we needed to be able to attack with it or something. They did not dredge into a Creeping Chill, thankfully. Nice! Alright. Let's see, game 3. If we want to make any adjustments. I'm actually going to keep Grafdigger's Cage in the sideboard. And I'm going to take Weather the Storm. If my opponent is going to be that worried about artifact graveyard hate, I would rather have a Weather the Storm at the end of one of those, like, egg chains, if we had to do that. Okay, well, we know they have Thoughtseize. So that whole situation that I called into play, of Tron Piece map, Tron Piece not working as well on the draw versus decks that run Thoughtseize, I really doubt Dredge would keep a hand to start with Thoughtseize because they're so proactive. They might mulligan into an awkward hand that has it, because they did mulligan down to 5 cards and we kept 7. But I think in the average case, they're going to be too busy casting Shriekhorns and stuff, because the only way they beat Tron is by being aggressive. They have to be aggressive, and they have to have interaction for Grave Hate. Which Thoughtseize does count as, but like even if they Thoughtseize us, we still have a ton of draws that could potentially get us to Tron from this position, because we have a Sylvan Scrying in hand, so Sphere or Star would be fine. They don't have it. Oh, also, my opponent having Artifact Destruction, second map's kind of okay. My opponent having Artifact Destruction like a Nature's Claim or something here would be bad, but if they use it on Expedition map with only 4 cards in hand, we're gaining life, getting further out of reach, which is kind of nice. So on our end step, opponent fetches Bloodstained Mire, shocks a Blood Crypt, and haggles. Discarding the Ox, not even a Dredger. I think my opponent mulliganed too low. I think they just didn't find what they needed. They play a City of Brass. They pass the turn. We draw Wormcoil. Players is Tower. Crack Map, get Power Plant. They play a Copperline Gorge. They might just cast Merchant of the Veil. That'd be pretty funny. They did. Alright. So now the question is, do we play Wormcoil or do we play Karn? I'm kind of tempted to just play Karn and Uptick, because how are they going to answer that? We have, like, multiple redundant threats coming up that will gain so much life. I figure we just play Karn and make him a problem. If my opponent was stuck on 2 mana, I would absolutely nuke a land, even if they had a threat that could damage Karn. I want to tick him up, like, out of damage range, though. I don't know that... Dredge might run, like, an Assassin's Trophy or something. Also, I do not think restarting the game, even if I were to keep upticking Karn, restarting the game is not an option. Yeah, opponent can't beat a Karn. We win the match. That's pretty sweet. So, one thing that you have to be careful of, if you ever get into a situation where you're upticking Karn and it looks like you have the option to restart the game, make sure you take careful stock of the cards that you took with Karn, because there we had Ox. And if we start the game with Ox on the battlefield, we discard our hand and draw 3 cards. So, unless we're starting with a threat of our own, like we uptick Karn on ourselves, like if I uptick Karn on myself a couple of times, like exiling an Ugin and a Wormcoil, sure. But versus a deck like Dredge, if I exile a bunch of threats that don't matter, or I exile a... we're against a Yorion deck. I exile like an Ox, and I'm not paying attention, and I have nothing else, and I start the game with... That's a mulligan to 3. So... And they're a fast deck. And while that hand was crappy, there's no telling what hand they'll have if you restart the game. So, yeah, seems good. We'll keep. This is a Karn Great Creator versus a Yorion deck. So, hopefully they're inconsistent enough that Karn can resolve easily, and we can just get Liquid Metal Coating, blow up lands, and if that doesn't work, we have Mazemind Tome to get a whole bunch of redraws and such. Start Power Plant, play map. Usually want to play Tower last. Not to, like, protect it or anything, but because if you have to assemble Tron the turn you use mana for other stuff, you want the 3 colorless mana instead of the 2. It could make a slight difference. We'll play Tower, pass the turn. The cool thing about this is, my opponent is playing Utopia Sprawls, so as long as they're not playing Stone Rains, Karn Great Creator is going to really mess up their day. Of course, so would Karn Liberated if we draw Karn Liberated. It basically means the Utopia Sprawl is like a double Stone Rain instead of a single Stone Rain. Okay, get Urza's Mine. Untap. We draw. Expedition map. So play Urza's Mine. Play Karn Great Creator. Cool thing is we're playing around a Mana Tithe too. So we will use Karn Great Creator's ability, and we are going to take Liquid Metal Coating. Play Coating. Play Map. Pass the turn, and stop on our opponent's upkeep. Turn off their Soul Land. Okay. Opponent has 2 mana this turn. Opponent has 3 mana this turn. They Lightning Bolt Karn, which I guess was always a possibility. which gives them back their mana they can use this turn. And they play Shalai, Voice of Plenty. Okay, we untap. We draw a Chromatic Sphere. Yeah, let's just play Forest and Ancient Stirrings now. We'll take Ugin, but he's not going to do anything until next turn. So we have 7 mana. Chromatic Sphere takes us down to 6. Opponent gives up. Oh man, okay. Not what I expected. So versus... This looked like Naya or 4-color Yorion. I suspect they're running like the Chord combo for... If they're running Shalai, I imagine this is like a Kiki combo list, right? So we definitely want Spatial Contortion. Question is, I don't know what else we want. Probably Veil or maybe Wilt. The only thing I know for sure, though, is Spatial Contortion. I'm going to bring in a Wilt, and I'm going to drop the Oath of Nisses. Wilt at least can cycle. And it gives me some hope if they're playing Damping Spheres or something. If this was 2 different Tron lands, I would consider it, but we're going to mulligan. Ooh, also bad. Well, I mean, Ancient Stirrings could work. We have Sylvan Scrying to back that up. Nah, we're still going to mulligan. Alright, I guess I'll keep this. Put back Wormcoil. And I either have to put back Star, or I have to put back Sylvan Scrying. Or I guess Ancient Stirrings. Stirrings just seems so good, though. We're going to try it like this. I could have gone to 4. I don't think that was a good idea. Okay, so opponent starts Land Utopia Sprawl on red. That would explain the red name as well for something like Kiki, where they want to have a ton of red sources, because it's a triple red 5-drop. So we'll start Star, pass the turn. Opponent plays a Mountain and a Seasoned Pyromancer. They could also just be playing a bunch of Stone Rains and a Blood Moon, too. That is a distinct possibility. They discard Voice of Resurgence and Sword. Okay, so there's like some Death and Taxi stuff going on here. Crack Star for green, see what we draw. Another Star. Yeah, okay. Second Power Plant. Scrying. Let's get mine. Pass the turn. Okay, opponent lands a Temple Garden. Gets in for 4. Takes us to 16. We untap. We draw another Urza's Mine. Play Star. Crack it for green. Alright, alright. This is going somewhere. Play Star. That means we'll have 9 mana when we untap. Crack it for green. Blast Zone. I was going to say, I think about our only bad draw would be Thragtusk. Simply because it's the only thing we couldn't cast next turn. Okay, my opponent has a Restoration Angel, which they're using to flicker Seasoned Pyromancer. We are in kind of a shifty spot here, because my opponent could just have Kiki to win, but I don't know how many Kikis the Yorion Kiki deck plays. I imagine they play a lot of tutors for Kiki, but they could get there with a Chord, with 1 more green source. They play a Wall of Blossoms, so they might have it next turn. Stoneforge Mystic, revealing Batter Skull. They attack for a lot. Unfortunately, we have too many cards in our hand for Ensnaring Bridge to work. That works very well. So play Urza's Tower. Play Ugin. Top deck of the century. Oh, that's so mean. But that's why I'm running Big Ugin and not 6 mana Ugin. Alright. Round 4, currently undefeated. It's exciting. I can't wait till I can have, like, actual studio lighting. And I'm not in the corner of a dark basement. I mean, it's not actually that dark, but, like, the light setup is super suboptimal. It's, like, just enough to get my green screen to work. As noted, like, if I bring the coffee mug in here, the shadow of the coffee mug messes with the green screen. That's how delicate the lighting is in here. That's why, like, sometimes when I'm leaning over here, the brightness of my face and the contrast behind the curtain will actually cause there to be, like, this massive white spot. Alright, round 4, here we go. Not a keepable hand in any circumstance. If this was a mulligan to 2, maybe. And then I keep Blast Zone Star, but... yeah, actually I'm going to keep this. I'm going to put back a Sphere. We have, several stars to filter into green. Please don't beat Ponza. We can't really beat Ponza with some of our best hands. And this hand versus Ponza would be abysmal. So, start Tower, Star. Pass the turn. Opponent cracks Wooded Foothills. Gets a Temple Garden tapped. Alright. Opponent plays a Razor Verge Thicket into an Auriok Champion. Okay, this is some kind of like Soul Sisters or Life Gain deck. So, crack star for green. See what we draw. Okay. I'm really tempted to Ancient Stirrings here, because if we hit another Tron land, we're very close, because we can just play Expedition Map. Alright. I'll take Karn, I guess. We already have one Ugin. I've got a feeling that Ugin is going to be very important. Rest of the bottom. Play Nurturing Peatland. And we're going to play Expedition Map. Pass the turn. I hope this league is illustrating just how bad 6-mana Ugin is. Because think of every single time we've assembled Tron thus far, 6-mana Ugin would have been terrible, and I think all but maybe one of them? Like, okay, so this is the Heliod life gain combo deck, or some variation thereof. So we're going to play Urza's Mine. We'll play a Chromatic Sphere. And then we can use Map to tutor for Power Plant and play Ugin next turn. So as long as our opponent doesn't infinite combo kill us this turn, we're fine. There's nothing we can do about the infinite combo this turn. I'm not sure if they could have it. Yes, they could. If they play Untap Land, Walking Ballista, Auriok Champion gains them life, which would put a counter on Ballista, and then they could use 2 mana to give Ballista lifelink. Okay. Conclave Mentor does not do it, though. They get to make a big Auriok Champion. Second Conclave Mentor. We're getting hit for a lot of damage here, but we're following this up with an Ugin that wipes the board. Getting hit for 11? Wow, okay. So take 11, go to 7. Crack star for green. Add black mana, go to 6. Crack map. We have mine, we have power plant, or we have mine, we have tower, we need power plant. So take power plant. Untap. After how feels bad it was when I tutored the wrong Tron land, I'm going to make sure I get the right one pretty much from here on out ever. Okay, we hit Ancient Stirrings. Play Ugin. And -3 Ugin. Boom! Problem solved. We're following this up with Karn. Okay. Opponent plays a Wooded Foothills. I'm gonna have to restart the client, I think, after this match. Or after this game. I don't think I do anything fancy here. Just play Karn. Opponent only has 2 cards in hand, so I think ticking up Karn is correct here. Because, like, I'm trying to think of what the worst thing they could do is. And if they get to 6 mana, they could play a Walking Ballista on 3, but it's not like that kills us. I don't want to lose any more life, though. So, tick up Karn. And the reason we're doing this, and we're not upticking or downticking Ugin first, is if my opponent had a Restoration Angel that they wanted to, like, flash in at that point for some reason, we would still have the option of dealing with it. Okay, pass the turn. Opponent cracks Wooded Foothills to thin their deck. Collected Company. That might kill us. Oh no. Oh no, that does kill us. Well. So the correct choice was nuking a land, and then down-ticking Ugin. Well, nuking a land wouldn't have done it either, because they had 5. So, no matter what we did there, we were actually going to die, because if I had taken out a land, my opponent would still have 4 mana, and they could still Collected Company on our end step. So, damn, sad days. Sometimes your opponent will just have it. I do want Spatial Contortion. Wilt does not hit anything meaningful. It can technically kill Ballista, but if they're playing Ballista, we're just dying to it. So I think I'm just going to bring in Spatial Contortion over an Oath of Nissa. It's possible I want Weather the Storm. They kill us with an infinite combo, though, so maybe not. Alright, we'll play first. We can do better. This is not actually that bad. Yeah, I'm going to dump 1 Sylvan Scrying, and we'll start Mind Star. Hopefully cracking Star plus Ancient Stirrings will get us to a second land, at which point we can resolve Star again off of the second land. and Sylvan Scrying next turn and have a turn 4 Tron. Opponent starts birds. We draw Karn Liberated. So, crack Star for green. Ancient Stirrings. Come on, Tron land. I should have specified, not another Urza's Mine. Alright, well we gotta take Urza's Mine, because we desperately need lands. Play the Urza's Mine, and play Star. We're still gonna need to top deck another Tron piece. And hopefully we do it next turn, so we know which one we have to tutor for. Otherwise we just have to tutor blindly. Opponent plays a Wooded Bastion, and passes. We draw another Karn. Crack for green first to draw. Get a little more information. Alright, Sylvan Scrying. Yeah, Mind Sensor does something here. We get a Blast Zone, so at least it's not like it's completely useless. Play the Blast Zone, pass the turn. Now, so we're probably going to lose, but at the same time, we kept a hand that had 2 redraws and an Ancient Stirrings. So, well, and a Sylvan Scrying. But, like, even if we didn't have the Sylvan Scrying, even if that had just been another unplayable bomb right now, we started off with 1 Tron land, 3 draws, because we started on the play, an Ancient Stirrings, which is 5 more cards deep. So, we had 8 looks to hit a Tron land, and we didn't. We had a redundant mine. Now, we could still get somewhere with this, because we're only 1 land away from playing Karn Great Creator, which would at least stop the Walking Ballista on their turn, ping us to death. It's not likely to do much, though, probably because this is a company, and that probably means we're dead. But I think that this hand was totally fair to keep. I think that going through 1/6 of our deck, basically, at that moment in time was more than enough in the average case to get what we needed to win, and we just didn't. So, unfortunately, I think we got a little unlucky. One of this also had really good company hits. They're effectively getting 3 creatures off of company because of Ranger Captain. Caustic Caterpillar? That must mean they're holding Ballista. I don't know why you wouldn't just go for Ballista here. We're going to be at such a low life total anyway. Another thing to think of is our opponent's deck, like the green-white hate bears, creatures sort of stuff, versus our deck is not a great matchup, because, like, they put down threats early, you know, they interrupt our searching, they interrupt our artifacts, they interrupt us casting spells, and, like, they finish with an infinite combo. Like, if I had to assemble a list of all things that would be terrible to play against playing Tron, most of those would be towards the top. I'm going to play Karn Great Creator here. I think we're probably just dead. Because we drew 3 7-drops, so it's not like Ensnaring Bridge is going to work. I'm still going to wish. We'll see if we can get anything useful. I don't think we have anything for a situation like this. I guess I could technically take Walking Ballista and ping off like their Mind Sensor and Auriok champion. I suspect, though, they're going to be putting some 1/1 counters on stuff. At least if we draw a land we can Ancient Stirrings plus Walking Ballista onto. And this might draw an attack for a turn. Okay. Opponent plays Eladamri's Call. They get Heliod. So, land and Ballista and wins the game. Which, considering they tutored up Caustic Caterpillar and not Ballista, tells me that they're probably holding Ballista. So I think if they have a land, they win. They play a Temple Garden untapped. Here comes Heliod. No, oh, no, Land Ballista doesn't win. Because they still need to give Ballista lifelink. Though I think this just kills us, because we can't possibly remove enough devotion. Yeah. Alright, they just had enough creatures that we just die to Heliod Auriok triggers. I think my opponent's deck's sweet, and I think we have a really bad matchup with that. And I don't think there's anything we can necessarily do to have a better matchup. I think... So that's another thing. A lot of people are like, what do you think Tron needs to beat X and X deck? For a lot of decks, there's an answer. And for some decks, you at some point, you're just going to have to accept your beats. Now, if a deck like the deck we just played against became dominant and was like the dominant strategy, it's like half the metagame, Wizards hasn't banned it yet, you want to tech against it, then sure, devote your entire sideboard to beating it. But like, I think in order to beat that deck, we have to give up beating other decks, and it's not worth it. No one deck will beat everything and stay unbanned. So, going down to 5. I think Star, Sphere, Power Plant, Tower, Karn is good enough. At least on the draw. Opponent is also mulligan to 5, which I'm thinking this one's Tron, because Tron is the deck that mulligans most frequently that I've noticed. That, and we tend to play the mirror matchups towards the end of the league. Simply because, and that makes perfect sense because if you think about it, what deck is most likely to have the same record you do? Your deck. Alright, it's probably Mill. I just started Watery Grave. I forgot to restart the client. It's Mill! Well, we'll get to try out our Kozilek. Let me restart the client really quickly. And we're back. Alright, so first draw step, we hit Sylvan Scrying, which means we should get Tron, but we're probably going to get Archive Trapped along the way. So, Power Plant, play Star, pass the turn. Versus Mill, we actually have a pretty rough time because they main deck Field of Ruin and a lot of ways to punish us for searching. I'm glad I kept the Kozilek in the sideboard, though, because Mill has been such a popular deck. It's just been like 3 or 4 leagues since we've run into it. Now, considering my opponent is mulligan to 5, there's actually a decent chance we can beat them, especially if we land a turn 3 Karn, even though it is on the draw. Okay. Opponent is effectively casting burn spells right now. So play an Urza's Tower. Crack for green. Draw a card. Sylvan Scrying. Alright, there is exactly 2 Urza's Mines left. So let's see if our opponent has any Archive Traps. Because of course they do. Well, they only have 1 card in hand now, and next turn Karn's going to start nuking their lands. I'm not saying we're like guaranteed to win or anything, but I mean, if my opponent has something like a Mind Funeral here, it's game over. So play a Mine. Play Karn. Okay, opponent's last card is Drown in the Loch. In that case, when we play Karn next turn, we're going to nuke our opponent's Hedron Crab. Never mind. When we don't play Karn, because they just fielded us, when we get Strip Mined, we lose the game. There are 2 towers left in the deck. I would have hit Power Plant, dude. You have access to my entire grave. You can see there's 1 on the field and 3 in the grave. So I guess this technically gives us the out of drawing tower. Alright, it's a peatland. So play forest, play map, go get tower, pass the turn. If we can survive 3 turns, we can restart the game. I just don't think we can survive 3 turns. Because if my opponent draws lands, we don't survive 3 turns. And if my opponent doesn't draw lands, they draw mill spells. So we're going to play Karn, and we have to nuke Hedron Crab here. No reason to play out the Sphere. Pass the turn. Ruin Crab, huh? So nuke Ruin Crab. Play Karn. Uptick Karn on ourself. Exiling Nurturing Peatland. Yeah, if we can survive the next 2 draw steps, we can win. But my opponent can cast literally every spell in their deck. Yeah, okay. So my opponent had to basically draw Drown in the Lochs, but they drew the Archive Trap, and we lose. It was a good fight, though. This is one of the better, like, game 1s versus Mill we've ever had, so... I think it was because they mulled to 5. Alright, well, Veil of Summer definitely coming in. So is Wilt. and Kozilek. We're going to cut an Ulamog. We're going to cut the other Ulamog. Well, maybe not. Ulamog's actually kind of important. We're just going to cut all of the life gain creatures, I think. Because if they actually... Their backup plan, if they have, like, the rogues, is to beat us down with, like, suboptimum creatures, which we should never lose to. Alright, well, I guess I have to keep. But I'm not super thrilled about it, because I have to search my library and my opponent kept 7. So, I don't know. I don't frequently get to have a lot of mill hands that start with multiple archive traps, but there's no telling what'll happen. Plus, if they tap out and they end up milling us with archive traps, like multiple, and they hit Kozilek, we're golden. Okay, we hit a Sylvan Scrying. So play Power Plant, tutor up Mine. Now, if my opponent has, like, Archive Trap, Surgical on Mine, that's a bad time. But they had to hit Mine, and they'll have to have Surgical for Mine. And even if they do that, we can still play a Karn. Maddening Cacophony. Alright. Play Karn. Wish. For Trinisphere. Play Trinisphere. Pass the turn. No more free milling for you. They have to have a land and a play here to even stay in this game now. Because if they don't, we wish for Liquid Metal Coating and they'll never hit 3 mana ever. Okay, they have a Field of Ruin. They have the choice of activating Field or casting a spell. Okay, we draw Wilt. So, Wish. We'll get... I could get Sundering Titan, but that only takes out one of their lands. If it took out 2, I would do that. Get a Liquid Metal Coating. Play a Forest. Ancient... Oh, you know what? I'm dumb. I am dumb because I did the same thing I complained about another Tron player doing, which was, remember that Trinisphere affects you too. So I'm sorry, everybody. Hashtag super genius. Opponent could have Drown in the lock. That's fair. Let's go ahead and Ancient Stirrings. Let's see. I guess I could take Ulamog and force them to activate Field. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Rest of the bottom. Pass the turn. Now they have to activate Field, because Drown in the Lock is not enough to save them from Ulamog's trigger. They still have not milled our Kozilek, which I've got a feeling because now we have Trinisphere, they can't just, like, Surgical or exile our grave in response or something. Like, they can't, like, Ravenous Trap us or anything like that. But it activates Field. Good thing we're still holding a tower. Do we have any forests left? We do. Okay, untap. We draw Oath of Nissa. So, play tower. Ancient Stirrings. Take tower. Rest of the bottom. Uptick Karn. Not going to animate for the beatdown. I just want to leave up Wilt. Pota plays a 3-mana Hedron Crab. And a Mikokuro. Milling us for 3. Power Plant Oath Ugin. We untap. We draw Mine. So, play tower. Play Ulamog. Exiling Watery Grave. And I guess the Crab. Take up Karn. Pass the turn. As long as we can keep them off of 2 spells a turn, Kozilek is, like, going to be a shield for us. As long as we don't draw him. That would be horrible. Opponent Maddening Cacophony. We mill Kozilek. Everything shuffles back in, and our opponent scoops it up. Nice! Alright. Game 3. Did we learn anything? Nope. We're on the draw this time, though, so I think we have to have... I think, in order to win this, we have to have our opponent have a bad hand. Or we have to keep milling Kozilek whenever they don't have a spell that counters that particular ability. This is fine. This is a Natural Tron plus Tron land, Natural Tron plus into Ugin, and a Mazemind Tome along the way. So we will keep. Opponent mulligans to 5. I like this hand in particular because we don't have to search at all. Opponent starts Polluted Delta, cracks Polluted Delta, gets a Watery Grave untapped into a crab. Alright, at the very least, they didn't have like a different land and fetch land. So start mine, pass the turn. This is also now a turn 3 Karn, provided of course our opponent does not have Field of Ruin. Sylvan Scrying. Play Mazemind Tome. Pass the turn. We'll wait till our opponent's end step in order to scry. Opponent Visions of Beyond, just as a Whispers of the Muse to draw a single card. Okay, they get a fetch land, so they mill us for 3. They fetch with their fetch land, and they mill us for 3. Okay, they did not mill a tower, so we don't have to worry about surgical on tower. And we only have... Okay. So now, it's possible that our opponent could drown in the lock our threats. Scry at our end step. Star to the bottom. Untap. Scry on our upkeep. Scrying to the bottom. We draw another tower. Play tower. Play Karn. And exile Watery Grave. Pass the turn. Opponent missed a land drop along the way, so this should be particularly punishing. Okay, they got another fetch land. So they're going to mill us for 6. Don't know why they're milling like this. Okay. They draw 3 cards. And pass. We draw Expedition Map. They're going to surgical on our draw step. I think if they do that, they're going to hit Karn Great Creator if they surgical. If they hit Ugin, it's a bit better for them. I'm actually going to put a stop on our draw step because if they are surgicaling us here, I want to... Well, no, I guess we already drew. Never mind. I mean, we have 2 Great Creators in the grave, but we only run 2 Ugin Spirit Dragon, and in the general case, Ugin's not actually that good against Mill. They hit Ancient Stirrings. Not a bad pick. It does get an Ancient Stirrings out of our hand, but we're also resolving an Ugin. I will be upticking Karn this turn, which doesn't feel great, but I don't want to lose Karn right now. And once we have Ugin and Karn on the field, it doesn't really matter if they like field us or something. I guess if they have Surgical in addition to Extirpate, and they could hit Ugin, that would be pretty bad. Okay, play tower, play Ugin. Nuke the crab. And I'm going to use my next 2 Mazemind Tome activations to scry and make sure that Kozilek stays in the deck as best as possible. Because I think we lose by drawing Kozilek. I don't know what my opponent is doing. I don't know if this is like... Because I can't imagine they have a response. Maybe they're just salty? They could be typing out an angry message. But I have more faith in my opponent than that. So, uptick Karn. They give us a Cling to Dust. So, pass the turn. They play a Dark Slick Shores. Okay. Maddening Cacophony. Milling us for 8. Okay. So on my opponent's end step, we'll scry. Veil of Summer, I'm going to leave on top. Okay. So, nuke a land. They're going to extirpate Ulamog. Okay. Uptick Ugin. Pass the turn. They play a crab. Mystic Sanctuary, they're going to mill us. for 3. We hit Sphere, Stirrings, and Tower. Okay. Scry with Mazemind Tome. I'll leave Star on top. So how do we lose? I mean, we lose by getting milled out, right? But I'm going to take out my opponent's black mana. I'm going to kill Hedron Crab. I'm going to play Star, play Power Plant, and play Map. I don't plan on cracking Map. But Veil is to prevent my opponent from countering something, targeting us with Ravenous Trap in response to Kozilek being milled or something like that. I am really tempted to just ult Ugin. Maybe I do that. We get Mystical Dispute. My opponent is at 10 life. We do have a Veil of Summer. But if my opponent has a Maddening Cacophony, they'll kill us. So I think we actually have to just uptick for a turn. Because Maddening Cacophony does not target. It's each opponent. Okay, they play a Flooded Strand. Maybe we just uptick Ugin until we win. Okay, that wins. So take out a land. Play Karn. Wish for Trinisphere. And then, for fun, we're going to ult Ugin. Alright. I think we got there. My opponent can only draw a land or a way to mill, but if they draw a way to mill, they can't cast anything, and if they draw a land, they can't cast anything either, because they don't have anything to cast. They crack Flooded Strand on their main phase. And concede. Thank you, Kozilek. Kozilek putting in the work. Definitely worth it in the mill sideboard. So let's go ahead and open our treasure chests real quick, shall we? So treasure chest number 1. We get 5 play points, a Crackleburr, and a Kokusho, the Evening Star. Okay. Chest number 2. 10 play points and, ooh, a Fabled Passage. That might be worth something. Chest number 3. 45 play points. We're about on par, along with a Sarah Sphinx. Okay. Chest number 4. 5 play points. Indomitable Ancients, which is a 4-mana 2/10. And a Sensation Gorger. Alright. Last treasure chest, we get 5 play points, a Dragon Skull Summit, and a Windbrisk Raptor. Well, alright then. Let's go ahead and talk about the deck just for a second here. So, a couple things I noticed. Number 1, Mazemind Tome put in a ton of work. It was amazing as a backup plan if we did not hit our primary way of winning the game. So, like, if in the every hand where we did not have natural Tron and like we had to keep multiple of the same Tron piece, Mazemind Tome was amazing. No pun intended. It was good versus Dredge because we were like manipulating our top decks. We gained extra life. We were getting further out of Creeping Chill range. I think it would have let us survive a bigger swing, that kind of a thing. So Mazemind Tome was actually excellent. I would rather play Mazemind Tome than Ugin the Ineffable every single day of the week. Oath of Nissa, slightly subpar. I think Oath of Nissa is okay. It's just a worse Ancient Stirrings, but Ancient Stirrings is really good. So, I mean, like, you know, it's not terrible. It does require us to play a Nurturing Peatland. The 19 lands versus the 18 lands, I did notice that there were several times where we were on 1 mana and we really needed to hit a land, and we did, and barely. And one time it was Nurturing Peatland that we hit, and I think we still ended up winning that game. So, like, I'm not too broken up about running 19 lands. I think Oath of Nissa is okay. I think probably so. Ugin the Spirit Dragon was amazing. Super happy to be running 2. I think that's fantastic. I might cut. I might play around with this a little bit more. I think I want to run 1 Oath of Nissa and not 2 because the effect isn't fantastic. It's just like the next best thing in slot. If I see a lot of graveyard decks, I would drop an Oath of Nissa for a Relic of Progenitus. If I'm confident in combo and getting to turn 4, I think Ugin the Spirit Dragon is actually fantastic. If the meta slows down just a tiny fraction, or Mazemind Tome provides us the longevity we need, I think cutting an Oath of Nissa for a 3rd Ugin or a 2nd Walking Ballista, totally fine, totally reasonable, and would make this deck even better. I'm pretty happy with the 1 Thrag Tusk, 3 Wormcoil split, and I really like having Kozilek in the side for Mill. Like, we beat Mill because of it. Otherwise, we stood no chance. So, the sideboard does need a little bit of work. I'm not completely happy with the splits on Veil, Weather the Storm, Wilt, Spatial Contortion. I don't mind having such a small wishboard. I think what we have here is the most critical things to have for a wishboard. And as you've seen, Karn wishing for stuff is super nice in the natural Tron, turn 3 Tron scenario. You play Karn, you wish for something, and you just get the silver bullet that wins the game. I think that's fine. The majority of the time, the artifacts you see in the sideboard here are the silver bullets you'll need to win. All of the extra, like the Batter Skulls, the Sky Sovereigns, some of the less run artifacts, I think are a little excessive, and you're better off devoting those sideboard slots to other parts of the metagame than just expanding your wishboard to win. Because if you're expanding your wishboard, you're making your better scenario better, and you're winning harder when you win. But there's a lot of time that you're not winning, and a lot of time that won't help you. Anyway, I think I've said my piece. I hope this video is educational for those of you that needed a little more help with the strategy on Tron. I think we learned stuff today. I think this deck got better. I'm very happy with the changes that I've made, and I think that it's good. I think it's good. So, if you like this video, you want to see more Tron content, please leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel if you're so inclined. And remember, you can follow me on Twitch, same username over there as you find me here. I stream Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, yeah, I hope to see you guys there. You're all wonderful human beings, and thank you for the support. We just crossed 400 subscribers, so I'm really ecstatic about that. We're sitting at about 409, 410 right now. I'm not going to check because the video is just about over, but yeah. Thank you guys for the support. I'm like almost halfway to monetization, so yeah. All right. Well, I'll see you guys later. Bye.